So the GTA 5 for PC launched a month back and Asus hooked me up with two of their Strix 960 GPUs and a 27-inch 2K display to test out the game. And spoiler alert, I had an amazing time playing the game at 2K with the two GPUs. If in case you are wondering, I did do a review on a single Strix 960 a few weeks back and the full review is linked in the video's description. So in case you guys want to know about the performance of a single Strix 960 in terms of gaming and overclocking, you can check out that video. This video is going to cover the SLI performance of these two cards at 2K and at 1080p. I did overclock these cards and the settings were same as the one in my previous Strix 960 video. So coming to the GTA 5, I did max out the game at 2K initially to see how it works. One thing I'd like to mention is that I kept the anti-aliasing at FXAA and not MSAA because these cards only have 2GB of memory each, and in SLI 2 plus 2 is not 4. The ultimate or the total memory or the effective memory is only 2GB. Other than that, as you can see, all the settings and textures were turned to their maximum, ignoring the suggested limits of the game. And overall the game actually played out very well at 2K. I could get an average FPS of around 50 to 55 and the minimum was around 26 to 30 in the worst case. But one thing which I noticed is that the frame rate varied and jumped a lot in these settings. It could drop right down to 30s from high 50s and that would create a lag or a choppiness for a second. Overall, the game looked amazing and the gameplay was great, but this frame rate jump did lead to some choppiness sometimes. But if you drop down the textures from very high to normal and get within the suggested limits of the gameplay is very smooth and fluid. There is no crazy frame rate drop and the minimum frame rate increases to around 45 to 50 with an average of 60 FPS, which is great. I did not see any major difference by turning the textures to normal from very high. But if you are wondering how will this game run with very high textures at 1080p, then you shouldn't worry, because I could easily get an average frame rate in the upper 70s with FXAA and every other setting maxed out. So yes, the Strix 960s in SLI are capable of running GTA 5 very smoothly at 2K, and I actually completed the campaign mode on the game with these two cards and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now moving on to Crysis 3 at 2K, again I kept all the settings at the maximum with textures set to high instead of very high. And I could manage an average frame rate of about 48, which is again great considering how demanding the Crysis 3 is. On turning the settings from very high to high, the frame rate was again in the 80s, which is great, and the game looked really beautiful in 2K. At 1080p, there are no issues in playing the game at very high settings and it played out just fine. Now coming to the synthetic benchmarks, I am running the results on the screen right now along with some comparisons with the other cards that I have reviewed before. One thing I would like to mention is that the 2GB memory limitation and the 128-bit bus on the Strix 960 won't make it a great deal for 4K. But as long as you are running it at 2K, you would be just fine. The 2GB limitation is something due to which you might have to turn down the textures in some games because they require more memory at higher resolutions. Because when I played GTA 5 with my 3GB GTX 70 at very high textures, although the average FPS was less than the GTX 960s, but the gameplay was much more smoother with less FPS dips at 2K. So this memory limitation is something that you should look out for. But ultimately, would I recommend these two cards in SLI? Well, the cost of two GTX 960s is around $400 and a GTX 970 with 4GB of memory comes for around $350. So I think that if you have around $400 to spend on a GPU, you should put your money on a single Strix 970 because you won't have to deal with the SLI issues which are present initially in some games. But if you can only spend around $200 right now, then go get the Strix 960 because you can save up some money in the future and buy an extra one to give you a performance boost. Regarding the temperatures, under heavy load, one of the GPUs was around 70 degrees and the other one was around 65 degrees, and this was in the summers. And in case you are wondering, that SLI bridge connecting the two cards is the Asus ROG SLI bridge. It supports two-way S and two-way M compatibility, and it comes with a cool ROG logo with red lighting to give an aesthetic appeal to your PC. I also have the Asus PQ278Q 2K gaming monitor, so if you guys want to see a review of that, then do let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to see more SLI videos of different cards and other PC related reviews, then do let me know in the comments and I will try to make one. I hope you guys liked this SLI performance video of the Strix 960, and a big thank you to Asus for making it possible. Please subscribe for more videos and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.